You're good.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So happy to see everyone who is here with us in person, and welcome to those of you who are tuning in online. Um, the first thing I want to do is acknowledge that November is Transgender Awareness Month, and so I want to say a huge we love you to all of our transgender friends and family and brothers and sisters. Um, we know things have been really tough for you, and for several years now, your rights have been stripped away. Your access to gender affirming health care has been stripped away in many places. And we want to acknowledge that we hear that, we see that, and that we stand with you and we love you. Brenda, specifically, so glad you are here today. And I just want to acknowledge the, the bravery and the courage that you have to walk through life, um, and to be who you really truly are, especially here in Springfield, Missouri. And we recognize that courage that it takes for you to be able to live authentically. And you, your heart, and your love and your desire to be of service have no bounds. And we are so grateful that you are part of our community, and we love you so much. Yes. So, okay. So the plan for today was Tears to Triumph. And amazingly enough, Marianne Williamson wrote this book in 2016. And what's happening now is very similar to how she wrote this book. And so there are a lot of things in this book that so valid today. And so Sue and I had a conversation and recognize that obviously I'm emotional with this. Um, there are a lot of people that are really, really struggling right now, and myself included. And so what we wanted to do is open this up and have a safe space for people to be able to come and to talk about their emotions, to talk about what they're feeling. And it's there's a there's a big divide. My jacket. Just trying not to get that. And so we wanted to give everyone a safe space to do that. What we don't want to happen is for this to become something where we're talking badly about a political party. We're not where we're talking about badly about individuals. It's not bashing anybody, and recognizing that we are where we are right now. We're all feeling what we're feeling right now. We want you to be able to feel what you're feeling, and we also know as a spiritual community, as who we are as Unity of Springfield, we know we're not going to stay here. This is not who we are. That we're not going to stay where we are right now. And right now, it's necessary for us to feel what we're feeling and be able to express what we're feeling in a safe space, and hear each other and be able to lift each other up. So, first thing I want for us to take a moment and get centered. And so, if you feel comfortable closing your eyes with me, and just take a big deep breath in and release, and take another deep breath in and release. want to take just a moment to pull our energy and our thoughts to this right here moment and recognize right here in this moment we're okay. Right here in this moment we're safe. In this now moment we're loved. In this now moment we're connected. And we are grateful for the opportunity to be together and for this connection that we know is there. Even when we don't feel it, we always know it's there. And so it is. Okay, I want to read one thing from this before we start. It's not even the content of the book, it's in the preface of it. So it's so valid. She says, consider the possibility now that anything could happen. I'm not asking you to believe this, but only to consider that it might be true. Simply thinking this thought that miracles are possible does more to pave the way for your healing than you can imagine. It opens the door to a realm of infinite possibilities regardless of what you've been through and what you're going through now. The pain that you're going through is not what will determine your future. Your future will be determined by who you are as you go through that pain. This is not a question of the depth of your suffering. Within the mortal world, it is certainly real. But the reality in which you are ensnared is not itself what it appears to be, nor are you yourself quite the being you feel you are now. We can expand the definition of who we are, as well as what the world is, and your life will begin to change. Your human self may be in hell right now, but your divine self is literally untouched by your suffering. And your divine self is who you are. So if we can remember who our divine self is. And for those of you at home, I'm looking at a lot of tear-stained faces right now. And so it's hard for me to take a breath. And I'm going to try and take a breath and stay simple here. But I'm looking at a lot of tears right now.
So I also want to follow up with saying that we want this to be a safe container. So if you're in a good space today, that's wonderful, but there's no shaming. There's no making anybody feel bad for what they're feeling in this room today, because what everybody's feeling is valid. I recognize, and I'll say this in there too, that I am a married, white, straight, middle class female that's past childbearing age. And I have not lived the life that many of you have lived with discrimination and with rights being taken away and being, maybe being taken away. And so my goal is just to stay in a place of peace so that I can become a helper as we move forward. And I say that just for all of us to remember that everybody's having their lived experience, and it's okay, whatever it is that you're feeling. So I just wanted to put that out. And please do speak into the microphone. You will not be on camera, but we do need to be able to hear.
Well, me being a transgender person, a few years ago, I was working on somebody's vehicle, so I went into AutoZone in Republic, Missouri to get some parts. So a couple of some people come in there and they was telling the first people, don't pay attention to this transgender person. They don't know what they're doing and all this stuff. So Shaggy from Buddy's Auto just walked in and he said, I want you to know that we sell her parts, and whenever she goes out and takes parts off, it don't take her near as long as it does anybody else. So I think you better just leave well enough alone. So he held up for me, and they got me the parts, and went on my merry way.
Yeah.
And also, November the 20th is Transgender Remembrance Day for all the transgender. It's the day of the year that they remember all the transgender people that have been murdered throughout the year. And there, and more African American or Latino transgender people is murdered than any other class of the transgender community.
Thank you. You know, I just want to say for me, for what I'm feeling, I cried a lot since Tuesday. Pretty much every day. I've had tears somewhere. And and I know it's fear, well aware of the fact that it's fear that is fueling my sadness and my anger. I go back and forth between sadness and anger. And like I said, I know I'm going to come up from this. And right now I'm just allowing myself to feel it. Because there are people in power who are saying out loud things that they only thought before. There are people out who are in power who are saying out loud that women shouldn't have a right to vote, and that scares me. There are people in power who are taking away women's reproductive rights, and that scares me for my daughter and my daughter-in-law and for my granddaughter. Because while Missouri voted to allow, voted yes and to allow women's reproductive rights, there are other states, a lot of other states who don't have that. So if she were to get pregnant, my daughter were to get pregnant and be in another state and have a medical emergency with that pregnancy, she's in danger because women are dying in our country because they don't have that, and that scares me. There are people saying out loud that the gay and lesbian community shouldn't have the rights they have, that my marriage should not occur, should not happen, that it's wrong, and my marriage shouldn't take place. My marriage may be safe because we're already married, and I've seen over and over again where people are posting things and wanting to hurry up and get married before January, just in case. And that scares me, that that's a possibility. And I know, like I said in the prayer, that right here and right now in this moment, I'm safe. Right now, I'm loved. Right now, I'm connected. I have people who love me, who support me, and in this moment, I'm okay. And it's like Sue says all the time when she does a celebration of life. We don't know what happens. We don't know what happens after we die. We don't know what's going to happen in January, after January. We hear a lot about what they're saying is going to happen or what they want to happen, but we don't know. And I know that I'm going to come from sadness. I'm going to rise up to anger, and anger is going to motivate me to want to do something. And I also know that I will move from anger and eventually to love. But I'm not there yet. I want to be willing to see this differently. I don't right now, but I want to be willing. And so for me, that's what I need. And so I can give you that opportunity to talk about where you are.
If you remember, Mary, a few years ago, there was a particular president that was taking away children from their parents. And we're talking by the thousands. And you were saying, we don't know what's going to happen. We also don't know how strong we are.
Yes.
And how strong that opposition might be. You and I and Sue stood on the corner of Sunshine Avenue with hundreds of other people protesting what was taking place. And we had an impact. We are not disempowered here. And I want to not only say that for anybody else, but I also want to say it for myself, because obviously I'm feeling disempowered right now too. We don't know what's going
I when Wednesday came around, I really was of the belief that the ballots weren't all counted yet, and I went. My son lives with me, and he was in the room, and he was in tears, and I asked him what was wrong, and he showed me on his phone what was happening. I was in total disbelief. I didn't think that many people would look at this man or this country. Sorry, shouldn't have said man. This country and promote hate, because that's what I felt was happening. It was promoting hate towards people that are not like them. And I went to work that day, and I work with children, and children were coming up to me, and I probably wasn't really nice. Well, I wasn't nice. Children were coming up to me and saying, my dad voted for Trump. And I would just look at them and I'd say, can't hear. Don't talk to me about it. We're not talking about the election. We're doing our work. End of story. And they would keep it up. And I would say, we're not talking about it. Not everybody is of that belief. And after that, I looked at these little kids who were so innocent. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't be hateful to them. I gotta put my arms around them and say, I love you and I want things to get better, because all I was doing was promoting what they had voted for. And so things switched to me that day. And I went from anger. I had already been sad, because I was sad for months with all this. Because I could feel something wasn't going to happen the way I had hoped it would, to anger, to kind of where Paul is coming from and saying, what can I do as time goes on to protect those people? Because I'm older. I'm older than childbearing age. I am a white female. I may not, I may have to protest against the lack of voting, but I'm not in the danger group. And I hope and pray that enough people will come together, and I think they will, to start to protect the masses of the people that we love, who are in the categories that are in danger. And I want to find a safe place where I can congregate with those people who are going to help those people. Because if we don't do that, if we're out there and we're not supporting each other, it's going to get really sad. So I'm here today to kind of rejoin, and to be there for all love, not just the love of my family, who I am greatly in love with, but for the love of all people. And I think if we can do that, we can move through this. It won't be fun. It will be dangerous at times and scary. But I also think that's kind of our calling. And I think if enough people do that, I'm hoping that the anger and the bigotry and everything that's happening right now will actually get so that the people who were on the fence will start to see that's not the way to go. And maybe start to change some hearts.
So, as a gay woman, the first thing that I connected this to was, for some of us, we grew up in a lot of religious trauma. And as it is with grief, when something like this happens that correlates to that, it can remind us to be back into that, trauma again. And then I began to process it, and of course, it's very easy to say this fine balance of, I don't want to live in fear, I don't want fear to compensate me, but yet I want to hold space for the grief, right? So saying that and switching gears, because there's a lot I could really say about this. I started to think of this scenario, which wasn't easy to contemplate, but I started thinking about what would have happened if we would have won, if the left had won. And then we would be in the midst of a lot more hate right now. Okay, so just work with me here. And now we have an opportunity to show the world what it does mean to come united. And you're like, okay, well, that's really easy if people believe that way. And I understand we have a lot of poo-poo mindsets out there, right? But I've tried to look at it as, just like with anything else that I've tried to do in my life, it's one thing for me to tell people, if, let's say we had won, right, back to that again, and we would be like, oh, everything's great, we're going to move forward, a new day forward. But trying to live not in those containers of right versus left, but truly embracing that opportunity of unity principles, of I am. What does that principle mean of I am and who Spirit has said we are? Because one thing in my short life I do know, I may only be 50, but Spirit is not a political party. Spirit is not contained. Hallelujah. And so the things in like my own life that I said myself would never happen, many of you have seen those crazy things happen. And so what we resist persists. And so I'm trying to shift my mind to where not diminishing the fear that people are feeling. Again, we don't know. We can talk ourselves into something before it's even happened, right? But we do know that we are free. We try to operate in the Spirit, and I believe this could be a time, after we've had time to obviously hold space for people in their grief, of great awakening, of helping our nation see this is not what we want. And maybe some people feel like they made the wrong decision, like, oops, what doo-doo am I in now, right? But it doesn't have to be managed by the mindset of a certain political party or leaders. That's not what Jesus taught, period. And whether you're King Jesus or whoever your prophet is, that's just not what he taught. He taught that we have that potential to be better. And what we have, in my opinion, gone so far backwards, even still into the colonization days, there's a lot of that mindset still going on. But we have that opportunity. And us as Unity of Springfield, like, I can support and be behind a lot of different areas, but these are my boots on the ground. And this is my area. And I believe that Unity of Springfield has an opportunity now to be a safe haven, because no matter what laws are passed or what beliefs are pushed, I'm pretty sure they can't tell us what to talk about inside Seminole World in our building here. And so we have an opportunity to be a great, big, safe place for people that are lost. And it's easy to get caught up in the fear. And I'm with you, Marianne, right too. I've seen a lot of people, I'm going to Canada, screw that. A lot of that, let's go get our passport, let's go look. It's tempting. But what we knew America as in the 1800s, some of that mindset is still there, but that's no longer what we know. What is America? Like, we're in a serious identity crisis. And so to wrap it up, because I can talk forever about it, we're in a time where let's look at this as an opportunity of awakening and a new level of consciousness that a lot of people are still down here. And we can't expect them to be there overnight, because we were there at one point, right? But to take it just a breath at a time, one moment at a time, as a pathway to peace, right? So.
Amen, Kat. I'm like 73 years old, I think. I'm trying to forget. Anyway, and I have lived a whole lot of life. The little town I grew up in outside of Detroit, there were no black people allowed in the town unless they worked for someone else. They were not allowed to own property in this little town outside Detroit. That has changed. Women were not allowed to vote or own property not too long ago. That has changed. Peace marches, Vietnam, we changed that. We're a planet of evolution. We're still monkeys. A lot of us act like it. Including me sometimes. But we're evolving. And even though it looks like an awful thing to so many of us, it's really, on some level, a good thing, because it's inspiring action. It's inspiring people to connect and make a difference. In the AIM group yesterday, we were talking about the red and blue states, and we ought to all get together and be purple. That's the highest color in the rainbow, right? And then a friend of mine later in the afternoon told me about Saint Germain. Saint Germain carried the violet flame. And that's it. That's it. We're trying to become the highest part of the rainbow, and we're all in this together. The bad guys are really the goodest guys. I know, we don't want to hear that, but it's true. Heck, I'm a convicted felon for marijuana, and now it's legal.
So I felt personally responsible after this election fiasco, because I've spent the last 18 months watching the news just religiously, like it was my religion, and listening to podcasts, because there's a paradox in democracy. We have to be knowledgeable. That's why we have a public school system, and that's why we have a free media, because we vote. We need to be fully informed. So I was fully informed. I fully understand like everything that could happen. I've read things. I've listened to experts, and I realized I put all of that energy into making the outcome happen that happened. So this is my fault. I am sorry. It really felt that way, because I brought it on, kind of. And now I'm not even watching the news, because I've decided it's better to be ready to react. I'm working on my body. I'm walking and maybe noticed I lost some
Yeah.
weight.
Yes.
I'm swimming. I'm working on my mind. I'm reading things that please me. I'm working on connection, like being here with you guys. And now I'm ready. I'm still thinking what size family can I fit in my attic? This is a practical consideration in these times. But I'm trying not to what if down, right? We know here that we should what if up, and we should imagine the good that could happen. Because the person who won a major political contest recently is the biggest magical thinker there is. And if we could match that vibration of being able to not imagine anything working against us, we could be president. A lot of people, that works very well for them.
I'm Tamara. I'm in an age group that I have raised my kids, and so I could fall into the place where people say, well, then you shouldn't worry because you're not, there's a lot of issues that they think shouldn't be my issues, or I could go there and think, okay, I don't have to deal with this. But because I'm the age I am, and I'm not engaged with the family happenings and all the stuff that takes that energy, so much time and energy to raise conscious, healthy human beings, that's a job. I'm in a place where I could say, I've done all that, retirement, sit back, I'm going to be out of here one of these days, but I do have kids. And I have I'm a very empathic and compassionate person. So I want to take a little side note to say, this is almost chauvinistic, but thank you men that are crying. It's so consoling to me. Somehow oddly. So I really am want to just turn off the TV, give up. This is where we're at, and there's nothing we can do. All these people that did all this stuff and all the money, and it was this much not what I thought where we were. I don't even know how to assimilate it. It's like overwhelming, it's depressing, it's scary, I'm terrified, and then I go, wait a minute, I know all these things, and so getting it from up here down into here, finding the strength to care enough to keep being involved, to keep hanging on to each other, because that's where our strength is going to be. We have to keep, I'm sorry, I made everybody cry. We have to keep, so I've just come to this realization, because everybody keeps saying it, it's so empowering. I've been to 4 or 5 actual groups, people without devices in their freaking hands, actually looking at it. I had a conversation with a guy last night that was 20 minutes of eye contact. I mean, holy cow, it was like, this is a new world. So I feel like that's really important. Please, can we hang on to me? Can we keep doing this kind of thing? I don't care if you cry, scream, say stuff I don't want to hear. The heart to heart. I'm here no matter who you are, what you are, because I just love the one that you are. And so my big issue right now is that I can see finding the give a crap to pick myself up, and the only way I can see doing that is to let myself just lay it down for a while, to say, and so that's why I keep hearing at all these meetings, like, okay, we're all so awake and so loving and kind to ourselves and each other that we're even saying, it's okay, you can be sick and trashed, and, that's kind of healthy. And then we're going to keep caring. We're going to keep acting. We're going to keep getting up off of our couch and doing the whatever. Please let me be strong enough, because I really want to not get money anymore. I get right now everything that I see about every issue, the earth, any of it. I see it and I think I have no more. It does. It's what good's it going to do? It's going to do. So I won't even say these words, but the discouragement, the despair, I think is more toxic and more powerful than anger and the things we think are volatile and the most strong, terrible things. Their way would have been Abraham Hicks teachings, like find your place in a crappy place. Just pull yourself to one rung up the ladder as best you can. And I think despair and depression are they're way down. Like that's bad. Way worse if you're anger. At least you have some give a crap and some passion, and you still have something. So thank you so much for being here. Help try just see me as being able to get up on my feet and keep coming here and doing stuff, because I live out in Arkansas and I'm really tempted to go pull the curtains for 4 years and just forget about that I'm on the planet. Thank you. But it's a beautiful planet, and I love you all very much. And thank you for being honest and vulnerable and sharing that, because I think that so many of us relate to exactly what you're saying and how we have all felt, through this. So I think that's so much of what this is about today, is that we can be that honest and say, man, I was down, and we do want to go up, and that's the cool thing.
Is this not an ability for us to look at our shadow selves and through other people and say, that's not who I am. I spent my week of torture, waking up crying. By the end of the day, I was just a troll. And the reality is it is forcing us at this point to say, who are you? You say that you're a child of God, or you're a child of the universe, but what does that mean? What does it mean for these other people? I love you, but I'm going to vote this way. Well, if you're voting that way, where is your love? Each and everybody that we come in contact with is hurting from something. This is the why we have a two-party system that ain't working. This is why throughout the whole world we got a planet that's dying. We have humans that are caught up in emotion and nothing but emotion and not knowing what to do with it. Because it's part of our, what's the word? Our evolution thing. And so, as we get sad and get upset, realize there are other people out there that are sad. And we know this, and we're ready. I don't know about you, but for once, I'm ready. I'm ready to say, no, this is not where I'm standing. This is only a stopping point for the moment. Thank you.
I'm all excited myself. This is wonderful. I love this. I'm sorry, folks. We have to be uncomfortable before we do anything. Does that make any sense? And it doesn't. Martin Luther King started in Selma, Alabama. Gandhi started it in India. Okay? What happens is when we match energy with energy, then we have to deal with that. Okay? I'm just all about energy. There's only positive and negative. The positive is inclusionary. It takes in all. Exclusionary is fear. It fears everything. And so many people, and I'm not even sure about the vote, simply because the system is falling apart. Technically, if we, as a group, want to try to put together something as we go forward, then we have to understand is the dollar is going to collapse. And if we don't have groups of people together working to keep each and every one of us alive, we don't have to be part of that. We can just let that go. They voted to be exclusionary. And so we just have to put names together. What doctors do I know? What nurses do I know that voted for Kamala? What people do I know that will work with each and every one of us. If we have a project, if we have something to go and do, then we don't worry about sitting in our own stew and our own juices. We just can't stew in our juices. We just can't.
You can for a little while. Yeah.
Yes, we can for a
We
little
can
while.
for a while.
Yes.
It's been less than a week. We can for a while. And I hear you, Jerry. I hear you, Jerry.
I'm really all excited.
This is impressive. And I'm cis male, retired, grew up WASP, and really didn't experience any of that kind of identification, discrimination. But I do know about fear. And that's been mentioned a couple of times, both in terms of like, and I've experienced it too. Like I have concern about our environment with this election as well, and look at that as being a possible another area that will galvanize people for more positive change over the next several years. Also, I also acknowledge that in my conversations with people that voted for the current regime that's coming in, is that fear was something that dominated their mindset. And, you know, we don't need to live in that mindset. It's really important that we move beyond that so that we can feel the power of what is.
And, you know, it's one thing that I've discovered that I've recognized for myself. It's like you said, Karen. You know, we have had at least a decade where we have been bombarded with fear and negativity. It's not like it, you know, my wife Sue said, we had a conversation and she said, it's not like it was years ago. You know, because I was talking about when Nixon was in power and he was so corrupt, his own party said, no, we're not having this, and got him out of power. But it's very different because we have had a decade where we have just been absolutely bombarded with negativity and with things where we're putting the red ants and the black ants in a jar, and we've got people in power over here doing this. Because they work fine together until you shake the jar, and then once you shake the jar, then they kill each other. And they fight. And we've got, you know, we have Russia and China who have people sitting around, and that's all they do all day. That's their job, is to foster disinformation and throw it at us. And so I can't be a part of that anymore. You know, I need to, and it's like you said, exactly what you said, Karen. It's like I want to be informed, I want to know what's happening, but right now I need to take care of me. I need to come back out, allow myself to come back to love before I can be informed of what's happening and get back into it. And
Can I say too that, you know, because it's so easy for us to other and to really categorize people as, you know, they voted, this group voted for quote unquote the bad guy, you know, the guy that shows up that goes against our values. I think really what has helped me is to step back and go, there's been so much misinformation out there. And all of us, you know, unless we're deeply doing our research, we could have misinformation. And I don't believe, and even what I'm hearing is I don't believe, and I would hear people say, well, I don't really like him and what he's about, but I like the policies of the party. So I think it's being able to step back and not put everybody into a category that they're like these bad people because, or that they voted against, certain people's rights or whatever. I just think there's just a lot that's going on right now. And I love hearing it because it's like, I think we're all trying to find our way back to that center, to that place. And I don't know about you guys, but I went back out into my world and everybody's kind and everybody's, nobody in my world anyway is talking negatively about the other people, and we're just doing life together. And just but we can ultimately get back there. And I love what I'm hearing too. We're made for this. We came here for this. We don't know why, but we came for this. We're made for this. We can do this, but we can't other. We have to quit othering because that's not going to work.
I think that's what I went from extreme feelings of sadness and depression and switched over to anger. And I think the anger is still there for me. And what I'm feeling mostly is the anger at the amount of misinformation and just plain lying that's going on. And it has become so blatant anymore that it's become normalized. Everybody expects it anymore, and I honestly believe that is being thrown out there intentionally to confuse us constantly. If you remember back when the second Bush was president, and we had Twin Towers were attacked, and we lost in this country about a little under 3,000 people. And they were just throwing this misinformation out there, Iraq. And so, Iraq had nothing to do with it, right? I mean, we kind of know that now, right? How many lives were lost in Iraq of innocent people? They say a low estimate of around 750,000 children, women, and men that had nothing to do with the Twin Towers. We don't talk about that in this country. Those are innocent people that lost their lives because of us, because of misinformation. That's where my anger is coming from. Because I have this fear that misinformation is going to hurt a lot of people. Might not affect us at all. Might not affect us because we're white. We've got a good support system here. We don't know what's going to happen. That's where my anger's coming from. I'd like to lose that anger. But I don't see that misinformation losing its grasp. And there's a lot of forces that are there to put that misinformation out.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that in 2016, there was a lot of promises made. And
Do you hold the microphone close to your mouth?
Is this better?
Yeah.
In 2016, there were a lot of promises made, and there was already fear then. And we saw that not even half of those promises happened. And we get stuck behind this feeling of fear and anger. And a lot of us are angry because we feel there's a lot of hate for us. And if we are hating them, we are doing exactly what they're doing. We have to come together with those who do support us, who do love us, and show them that we aren't going to back down if something happens, but we are going to go forward and show what needs to happen.
Kind of to go on with that understanding that I was talking to my daughter last night, and she's so wise. By the way, she owns Craft Sushi, and I'm going to put a plug in for those of you who go. go there. She's adorable. But anyway, we were talking, and she was devastated, like my whole family was on Wednesday. And she is not a Facebook person. She's not a media person. She doesn't go there. But she did somehow. I don't know what platform she got on. She said, I need to understand. And she got on, I don't know which platform. And she saw all these people that she knows that she really respects. And, you know, they're friends, they're people that she has respected in the business community, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, she goes, yeah, Mom, I gotta do something about this. And I looked at her and I said, okay. And she said, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to call these people. I'm going to call these people and I'm going to sit down with them. And she said, I want to know, I need to understand. She said, I can't move forward until I understand. And she said, we may not end up agreeing. And she said, but at least that understanding will push me forward so I can see where they're coming from and maybe do some education or decide not to. She said, it'll depend on the situation, because she said it's not everybody's going to listen to what I have to say. But I thought the wisdom behind that, you know, she wasn't battling, she wasn't bad-mouthing, she wasn't even filled with hate. She just wanted to figure out why these people that she was really puzzled as to why they voted the way they voted. She just really wanted to understand. And I thought that was a lot, there was a lot of wisdom in that. A lot of wisdom.
And I am right there with you and with her on that. It's a very interesting thing that's happening right now, where we have people who are celebrating and they don't understand why people are sad and angry, and the people who are sad and angry don't understand how people are celebrating. And so there's a big wide chasm there between, and that understanding. I think that understanding each other is a necessity. You know, the nice thing is, if you build a bridge, it doesn't matter which side it starts from or who builds how much of it. Eventually, it's gonna connect the two places. And so we have to remember, whether they build a bridge or not, we can build a bridge.
I just wanted to remind everybody of the law of impermanence.
And then there's that.
Everything
This too shall pass.
Yeah.
Well, back in the 1800s, whenever they were building the railroad from the west and the east was coming together, whenever they finally connected, the two railroads was just a minute, short distance from being in alignment. So that's where we're at now. That one party is way over here out of alignment, and this party over here is out of alignment, and they gotta figure out some way to come together and get in alignment.
Yeah, and like Sue said, you know, this too shall pass. I told her last night, I said, I just hope it doesn't pass like a 5-pound kidney stone.
And it may. And that's the thing is that.
But it'll pass.
Yes, but it'll pass, and it may, and that's the thing. It's not that we want to pre-pain and go, this is going to be difficult, but we also have to recognize that there's some ideas that are in direct opposition to our values. Mm-hmm. And those ideas have to do a lot with our LGBTQIA plus community, with people of color, with women, with, you know, the climate. We do recognize that, you know, but again, showing up, doing our best to show up in a place where, and I would even go past reaction to response. You know, I don't want to react and act out of my old stuff. I want to lean more into responding to these things.
I just wanted to add in there, this isn't anything that none of us don't know, but propaganda is what really sold this whole show. Propaganda. And I know for me, it almost was like it became this sense of, let me see what drama he's doing next, right? What's happening next? And so it's hard sometimes to pull ourselves out of that when it's being fed on and fed on by the vibration going on, not meaning in this community, but just around us in general. And I think one of the biggest things, and Michael Beckwith said this recently, is to get off of media, get off of this stuff, or maybe make a commitment that what we're going to post isn't feeding into I'm so tired of the us versus them that I can puke virtually everywhere. I'm over that.
Purple, wear purple.
Yeah, purple. The color purple. And so I lost my train of thought things. But I just wanted to say that we keep feeding like in this, sometimes somewhat just, a spirit must be on the other side going, what in the world are they doing? Just like, this all the time and feeding on social media. But we have absolute complete power to change that and to get off that. And really, the truth is, we don't have factual media anymore. Those days are gone, right? And so, newsflash.
Pardon me?
And so I just wanted to add into this that we don't have to keep feeding the propaganda. That's a lot of what the winning side is using to feed people or scare people or everything else. And we have that collective vibration ability to shift it whenever we want. So.
Okay. Is anyone else?
I'm factual media.
You are factual.
Thank you for
Factual media. Yes.
Well, on that note,
I think that talking to a person, it's like when I've had people tell me, well, this is so terrible, they're doing this, they're doing that. I go, well, where did you hear that?
Yeah.
And I go, has somebody in person told you that that's what they do or that's what they think? And they go, no, I heard it on or I read it on this and that. And I go, look, then I don't hold to that. It's like, it's either this is what I'm saying that I do, that I said, or if it's just something that is, media, especially with AI now, who knows? It looks just like him. It sounds just like them. You don't have a clue.
remember, without the paradigm of paradox, we would not have an experience. And so we have to just move into it, whatever it is. I don't know about all the sad people here. I was mad for a moment. Then I recognized that how are we going to get off our laurels and make a difference? Only by this change. You have to look at the fact when Biden was elected. My God, the sad people that were out there. Okay? I'll shut up.
Not
Thank you. No, I'm all good with that too.
I'm gonna real quick, I'm gonna read this again. The pain that you're going through is not what will determine your future. Your future will be determined by who you are as you go through that pain. This is not a question of the depth of your suffering. With the mortal world, it is certainly real. But the reality in which you are ensnared is not itself what it appears to be, nor are you yourself quite the being you feel you are now. We can expand the definition of who we are, as well as what the world is, and your life will begin to change. Your human self might be in hell right now, but your divine self is literally untouched by your suffering, and you are your divine self. That is who you are. Remind you of that.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. thank all of you for sharing. Thank you for coming and having this safe space. Next week, we will get into just a tiny fraction of the amazingness that is in this book. And I really highly recommend that you read it because it's just incredible. Okay, announcements. Today at 1:30 p.m., Deidre will be presenting part 2 of Understanding the Rising Sun and Moon Sign. Today's class will focus on the moon sign, and all are welcome to join. Next Sunday, the 17th, the class will be held at 12:30, and the Eddie Watkins Jr. concert will take place at 2 p.m.
Come to Eddie! Yes!
Hey, come to Eddie. Meditation tonight at 6 p.m. is open to everyone. The mat makers meet every Thursday at 10 a.m. This group weaves sleeping mats out of plastic bags, which are donated to folks who are unsheltered. The goal is 100 mats in 100 days, and they would love your help. And thank you, Susan, for being part of that. Bring a pillow and a blanket and join us next Saturday at 2 p.m. for a cosmic gong journey. This is a unique combination of sonic sound healing and frequency arrangements that target the healing of the mind, body, and spirit. Tickets are $20 and the class is limited to 20 participants. If you haven't already signed up and need to pay, please stop by the office today. The last day to purchase tickets is this Wednesday. And we have about 12 paid participants by Wednesday, or he will have to postpone this session. Next Sunday is the 9:15 class. Will be me. Part 2. We are excited to announce that Eddie Watkins Jr. will be here next Sunday, November the 17th, and he will do the music and the message for our service in the morning, and he will also return and do a 2 p.m. concert. Concert tickets are $15 suggested love offering, but no one will be turned away if they can't afford that. You can purchase your tickets on the website or in the office. Everyone is invited to attend our annual Friendsgiving potluck on Thanksgiving Day at 1 p.m. This is for our spiritual community, plus anyone else who would like to join us. You can sign up in the foyer with what food you will bring, and it will help, and we need help with the cleaning and the setup. Our 8 items in 8 weeks donation drive for Crisis Cold Weather Shelter was a huge success. We collected 738 hot chocolate packets, 777 oatmeal packets, 273 rolls of toilet paper, 473 cheese and peanut butter cracker packets, 403 cereal and granola bars, 184 cups of soup, 61 pounds of coffee, and 270 pounds of sugar, thanks to John Brocker, with a big, enormous bag. This is a great way to kick off the season, and thank you for all your donations, and we will continue to need donations as the season continues. So, with that,
And volunteers.
and volunteers, lots and lots of volunteers. Again, thank everyone who came and shared this space. Thank you to all of you who participated and gave your feedback and were vulnerable and letting us know where you were. And thank you for being online and joining us also.
And on the note of all the shelter people and all of that, it helps to remember that they don't have phones to get off of. They're worried about a meal and a bed, you know, so we can be thankful for
that part of our blessing. Yeah. So thank you, and we will gather back in the back and pray out.